In 2022, a routine analysis of high-resolution Mars imagery revealed something that shouldn't exist. Patterns in the Martian regolith, geometric formations that match symbols carved into clay tablets 5,000 years ago in ancient Sumer. NASA quietly archived the images. Independent researchers started asking questions, and a handful of archaeologists began comparing databases they never thought would intersect: Sumerian cuneiform and Martian surface anomalies. The matches were too precise to ignore, too numerous to dismiss. What if the oldest writing system on Earth wasn't invented on Earth?
Mars has always been the mirror that reflects our deepest questions. We've sent orbiters, landers, and rovers across 140 million miles of void to read its rust-red surface like an ancient text. And we've found water, evidence of ancient rivers, chemical signatures that whisper of life. But in the Cydonia region and the plains near Elysium Mons, high-resolution cameras captured something else. Geometric patterns etched into rock formations, triangular arrangements, repeated angular symbols, linear sequences that don't occur randomly in nature. When Dr. Sarah Chen, a computational archaeologist at MIT, ran pattern recognition algorithms comparing Martian surface features to ancient Earth scripts, the computer flagged 23 distinct matches. Not to Egyptian hieroglyphs, not to Chinese oracle bones, to Sumerian cuneiform, Earth's first written language. 23 symbols appearing 140 million miles apart, separated by, supposedly, the entire history of human civilization. The scientific community called it pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns where none exist. But pareidolia doesn't produce exact angular measurements. It doesn't replicate complex triangular arrays across planetary bodies. So we're left with a question that makes academics uncomfortable. What if Sumerian writing wasn't invented in Mesopotamia? What if it was remembered?
Let's start with what we know about Sumer and what doesn't add up. Around 3400 BCE, in the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia, writing appeared. Not gradually, not through slow evolution from pictographs. Cuneiform emerged fully formed, a complex system of wedge-shaped marks capable of recording everything from drain inventories to astronomical observations to epic poetry. It's as if someone flipped a switch. One moment no writing, the next sophisticated bureaucratic records. Linguists have a term for this: ex nihilo, out of nothing. And they hate using it. Languages evolve. Writing systems develop through stages, but Sumerian cuneiform has no prototype, no primitive ancestor. It simply begins. The Sumerians themselves claimed their writing was a gift from the gods, specifically from a being named Oannes, a half-man, half-fish creature who emerged from the Persian Gulf and taught them writing, agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy. Ancient historian Berossus recorded this in the 3rd century BCE, but he was transcribing much older Sumerian accounts. Oannes didn't speak metaphorically. He physically taught them to carve specific wedge patterns into clay. Now here's where it gets strange. Those specific wedge patterns, triangular impressions made at precise angles, they're not arbitrary. Recent analysis shows Sumerian scribes used exact angular measurements: 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees. Mathematical precision in a supposedly primitive writing system. And these exact angles, these precise triangular arrangements, they're appearing on Mars. The Cydonia symbols, when measured by planetary geologists, show angular formations at 30, 45, and 60-degree intervals. The same mathematical precision, the same geometric foundation. Dr. Chen's algorithm didn't just find vague similarities, it found exact angular matches. The Sumerian symbol for water, 3 parallel wedges at 45 degrees. A Martian rock formation near Jezero crater, 3 parallel ridges at 45 degrees, identical spacing ratio. One match is coincidence, 2 is interesting. 23 is a pattern demanding explanation.
Let's examine what's actually on Mars. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter carries HiRISE, the High-Resolution Imaging Science Experiment. It can resolve features smaller than a meter across from orbit. Since 2006, it's captured over 60,000 images of the Martian surface. Buried in that database are formations that geological processes shouldn't produce. In 2019, images from the Noctis Labyrinthus region revealed what researchers initially called peculiar erosion patterns. Linear arrangements of rocks forming triangular arrays. When dimensioned, the triangles matched the wedge patterns of Sumerian cuneiform. The Jezero crater, where Perseverance rover currently operates, showed similar anomalies. Arranged stones in the ancient river delta, not random scatter, not natural sorting. Deliberate geometric placement that mirrors Sumerian clay tablet layouts. Skeptics argue these are natural geological formations misinterpreted through confirmation bias, wind erosion creating random patterns that occasionally resemble writing. But erosion is chaotic. It doesn't produce repeating mathematical ratios. It doesn't create the same angular relationships across different regions of a planet. Dr. Marcus Webb, a planetary geologist who initially dismissed the findings, changed his assessment after analyzing the spatial distribution. The symbols don't appear randomly. They cluster near ancient water sources, dried riverbeds, crater lakes, hydrothermal zones. Exactly where you'd place written markers if you wanted them to endure. Near water sources, the foundation of civilization. The Elysium Mons region shows the most compelling evidence. A sequence of formations that, when mapped, creates what computational linguists call a grammatical structure. Subject-verb-object arrangement, the fundamental building block of language. 3 distinct symbol groups, spatial separation indicating word breaks. Reading from what orbital mechanics suggest was north in Mars's ancient magnetic field. Translation attempts using Sumerian dictionaries have produced something unsettling. Water flows from heaven, a phrase that appears repeatedly in Sumerian creation myths. But on Mars, it might be literal. A record of when water actually flowed on the red planet 3.5 billion years ago. Or It might be something else. A message left by whoever visited Mars when it still had rivers. A message teaching the same writing system they would later teach to humans in Mesopotamia.
So how do we explain symbols separated by 140 million miles and potentially billions of years? Theory 1. Pareidolia, where pattern-seeking creatures seeing writing in rocks. But this requires dismissing mathematical measurements, spatial arrangements, and multiple independent verifications. Possible, but increasingly unlikely. Theory 2. Convergent evolution. Maybe all written language naturally develops similar geometric patterns, but Earth has hundreds of writing systems. Only Sumerian matches Mars. Not Egyptian, not Chinese, not Mayan. Just the oldest one. Just the one that appeared ex nihilo. Theory 3. A common source. What if writing wasn't independently invented on Earth? What if it was taught by beings who had already been to Mars, who had left markers there, who came to Earth and gave that same writing system to the first human civilization willing to carve it into clay? The Sumerians wrote about the Anunnaki, beings from the stars who brought knowledge. They weren't metaphorical, they were specific. These beings brought writing, mathematics, and astronomy, the exact sciences needed for spacefaring civilization. Ancient texts describe the Anunnaki traveling between planets. The Epic of Gilgamesh mentions flying boats and journeys to the House of Eternity in the heavens. The Enuma Elish describes planetary movements with accuracy that shouldn't exist in Bronze Age mythology. What if these weren't myths? What if they were travelogues? Consider this timeline. Mars loses its magnetic field 4 billion years ago. Its atmosphere strips away. Water evaporates. Any civilization there faces extinction. They're spacefaring, they have to be. They're building monuments, writing systems, surviving planetary death. They come to Earth, the nearest habitable world. They find early humans, smart but pre-civilized, hunter-gatherers with potential but no technology. And they teach. Not everything, not all at once, but enough. They give us writing, the foundation of recorded knowledge, the tool that lets civilization accumulate. They use the same writing system they developed on Mars. Why invent something new? Why not use what works? And before they leave, or die, or integrate, they leave their mark on both worlds. Symbols on Mars in the stone, symbols on Earth in the clay. The same language, the same message, the same teachers. If this theory holds, if even a fraction of it approaches truth, everything changes. We're not alone. We've never been alone. Intelligence visited our solar system and left evidence on 2 planets. Writing isn't human invention, it's knowledge transfer. Civilization didn't evolve naturally, it was jump-started. We're not Earth's first intelligence, we're Earth's second chance. And Mars? Mars isn't a dead world waiting to be colonized. It's a tomb, a library, a warning. Every rover we send might be rolling past evidence of who we might become. Every rock sample might contain proof of intelligence that predates our species by eons. The Perseverance rover is currently drilling in Jezero crater, the same region showing symbol formations. Its mission is to collect samples for eventual return to Earth. Inside those samples might be more than minerals and ancient microbes. There might be writing, real writing, carved into Martian stone by whoever lived there. The same beings who came to Sumer and said, "Let me teach you to write." Or maybe we'll find nothing. Maybe it's all confirmation bias and wishful pattern recognition. Maybe the symbols on Mars are just rocks, and Sumerian writing is just human brilliance spontaneously emerging. But 23 exact matches, the same angles, the same mathematical precision on 2 planets. That's not nothing. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's a connection waiting to be proven.
The truth about Mars, about Sumer, about writing, about who taught whom, it's still being written. With every orbiter pass, every rover track, every new high-resolution image, we're reading a story carved in planetary stone. A story that began on Mars, continued in Mesopotamia, and is reaching its next chapter now as we prepare to return to the Red Planet, not as visitors, but as archaeologists, excavating our own prehistory, searching for the teachers who might have written our civilization into existence. The Sumerians kept telling us, in every myth, every tablet, every story of gods from the sky, they were trying to preserve what they were taught, to remember where knowledge came from. We called it mythology. We filed it under ancient superstition. But standing in the Louvre, looking at 5,000-year-old cuneiform tablets, knowing those same symbols might be carved into rocks on Mars, it doesn't feel like myth anymore. It feels like a message, one we're only now learning to read. The cosmos is full of mysteries that sound impossible until they're proven inevitable. This channel exists to explore them, to ask uncomfortable questions and follow the evidence wherever it leads, even if it leads to Mars. Subscribe to Myths of the Cosmos, because the greatest mysteries aren't just in space. They're in the clay tablets we've been reading wrong for 5,000 years. Until next time, keep looking up, and maybe, just maybe, keep reading the rocks.